What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, it looks like, at long last, after years of what seems to be teasing and random leaks even on the PlayStation Store, a classic title from their library is finally heading to PC with all kinds of really interesting features. We'll go over that, though, here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Nintendo and how a recent update has caused more and more speculation and continue to, of course, raise all kinds of anticipation around the Switch 2 that's even led to massive trolling and fake-outs online. And then we also take a look at Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, because while the game had decent, I'd say pretty good Metacritic scores, wow, the sales currently are absolutely on fire, and, well, the game's not even out yet. This is all early access stuff, so if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton, and if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below, and of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're going to start today with a new movie that's been announced by Sega for Shinobi. Okay, so this was kind of out of left field, although we do know that they are working to reboot many of their old franchises, which does include Shinobi, so I guess in that regard, it makes sense to try to line them up somewhat. Well, this we can see posted up over on Gamatsu, saying Universal Pictures has announced a collaboration with Sega to develop a movie based on the Shinobi video game franchise. It'll be directed by Sam Hargrave, the Extraction franchise, and the screenplay adapted by Ken Kobayashi for Sony and Move On. So in my mind, I'm thinking about this. I'm like, okay, how is this going to work exactly? Because I mean, I'm not saying I'm like the biggest Shinobi person out there, but whenever I would play those games, it wasn't necessarily about the lore or the character for me. It was just about the fun action and the gameplay. So maybe they just kind of lean into that, and that's why it's a movie rather than a series for a streaming platform like we're seeing them do with something like Yakuza. Sonic has worked really well at the box office, so yeah, make a really fun action movie for a couple of hours here with Shinobi, maybe heavily stylized, and it would at least be a good time at the movie theater. So here's hoping they're able to nail this one, because it would be kind of cool to see Shinobi come back in video game form, and then also on the big screen. Also, Super Mario Party Jamboree is out in about 8 days, but if you want to try it out right now, you can do that. We can see this over on Nintendo's official account, where they say to play a Super Mario Party Jamboree game demo, head to select Best Buy, GameStop, Target, or Walmart locations for a hands-on sneak peek of the party of the year before it launches on October 17th. I mean, it is pretty close. It doesn't really feel like a new Mario Party is around the corner, although I've kind of mentioned I'm sort of numb to these releases now. We've had so many Mario Party releases in the past that it just feels like every couple of years, oh, there's a new one, and that's kind of it. Although, again, this one is a little interesting to me because of the online play with like 20 different people. That could at least be kind of compelling and differentiate itself from previous releases. And I do picture how this is going to work in stores, because typically with Mario Party, you sit down for a little while, a nice block of time to go through so many turns and try to steal all the stars and stuff. So feels like a lot of people are going to be hanging around that kiosk for quite a while, so you may want to go get your spot sooner rather than later. Oh, and if you were waiting for those refurbished PlayStation 5 systems to go on sale from Sony, they're actually live now. You can see this over on their website. I did show the certified refurbished PlayStation 5 console with the disc drive. That's coming in at $400, but they also have just the digital-only one without that disc drive for $350, which really, if you saw the Pro and you're like, that's way too much money, I'd rather get a regular one, maybe for the holidays coming up or something. I mean, this is refurbished from Sony. It comes with a warranty, and I decided to order one myself because I figured we would unbox it, we check it out and see how it is internally. I will say, when I order refurbished systems from like the first party platform order, the manufacturers, they show up in basically like new condition. It happened with Nintendo. I'm expecting it to happen here with Sony and the PlayStation 5, so look out for a video at some point in the future where we take a look at one of these. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with a long-awaited release, one that we figured would happen at some point because it just keeps seemingly leaking out there, whether it's through teases on social media or just updates for their launcher, or even apparently just showing up on the PlayStation Store, with Red Dead Redemption going to PC, and it looks like it's happening here in a few weeks. We can see this over on Rockstar's official website, saying Red Dead Redemption and Undead Nightmare coming to PC October 29th. They say in collaboration with Double 11, this new version adds PC-specific enhancements, including native 4K resolution at up to 144 Hz on compatible hardware, monitor support for, get this, ultra-wide 21:9 and super ultra-wide 32:9, HDR10 support, and of course full keyboard and mouse functionality. I'm kind of picturing that, like that ultra-wide, even that super ultra-wide setup with a game like Red Dead Redemption with the sweeping landscapes, and that probably looks awesome. I will say it is annoying when a game comes out on PC and they don't have ultra-wide support, because if you have a monitor for that, it basically just puts two big like black squares on either side to make it look like a regular like monitor, like widescreen monitor, and it just feels like you're missing out on a ton of real estate there with some of these panoramic views. So that is going to be really impressive looking, as well as support for NVIDIA DLSS 3.7 and AMD FSR 3.0 upscaling technologies, frame generation, adjustable draw distances, shadow quality settings, and more. Also, get this, it's not just going to be on Rockstar Store. They'll also be releasing it on Steam and Epic Game Store. So the thing I noticed though on the Steam page is it looks like you will still need a Rockstar account. So that can be a hang up for some people, although I guess Grand Theft Auto kind of does the same thing, but either way, it is at least available on Steam to buy. And the fact that it's coming out October 29th, just a few weeks away, it's not a brand new release technically, sure, but still it's fun to get these reveals, and I'm sure the PC community is going to have a field day, let's be real, with the mod support around this. It's going to be crazy. I mean, people on PC were trying to emulate like Red Dead Redemption on what the Xbox 360 or the PS3 on their systems just so they could play it there, this being a much more refined and built out version of the game here. And this, I assume, will just be the best looking version we have here over on PC, especially again with the ultra wide support. People were kind of joking around the idea of, hey, here comes Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, and then, oh look, there's Red Dead Redemption on PC now getting announced. Oh yeah, there's Dragon Age showing up same day. I mean, it's sure, I guess Dragon Age, that's going to be a big deal. People do seem pretty excited for that one, and I'm sure that will have a sweeping reach just in general for the mainstream. It's Dragon Age. But something like Red Dead Redemption on PC, it's not as wide-reaching as if it was a brand new Red Dead Redemption coming out 2 days before Horizon. But I do understand the meme and the joke, of course, for that. Still, though, Red Dead Redemption finally going to PC. People out there can take a deep breath, exhale. Only a few weeks away. Something that people have been asking for legitimately forever now. It came out, 14 years ago? Finally getting it on PC. Next up, let's talk about Nintendo and this recent update that they issued for the Switch. We went over very briefly because there wasn't much information out there for it, and it was mostly just system stability. And that was kind of it. It's like, oh yeah, set it up, see how well the kickstand holds up now. But with all the joking and stuff out there, there did seem to be some more interesting things happening behind the scenes, which is what you expect for a version jump to just to 19 with no actual benefits that are displayed over on the patch page. Well, we can see this posted by Oatmeal Dome, who says pretty much every system component was updated. This is normal for major updates, as the entire OS is rebuilt with a newer SDK version. I suspect that major versions like these are tied to new SDK releases internally. The first number going up isn't meant to indicate that there's big changes for normal people, but rather that there might be changes that matter for game devs, like Nintendo is following SEM version and stuff. So in this case, though, they do go on to say, because I knew this was going to come up as soon as I saw this start to spread online and different forums and stuff. It's like, oh, could this be for a Nintendo Switch 2 announcement that's coming up any moment now, which people are like legitimately on the edge of their seat currently for there to be some sort of announcement any time from Nintendo, and some are counting down the literally the minutes before seems to be end of November is like a hard cutoff for people for them to make the announcement for it. But we can see Oatmeal Dome goes on to say, no, changes that matter for game devs doesn't necessarily mean Switch 2. Could just be something simple like Nintendo changed the name of something, so now developers need to update their game code accordingly if they want to use the newer SDK. I saw Michael Sayers also mention that for things like Atmosphere, which is the custom firmware stuff, this update, which it tends to happen, I've noticed with a lot of the bigger jumps in terms of the version numbers, completely broke it because they have to go back and fix some of the coding and stuff for it, for where it's basically pointing to as it's going through its process. So it seems like that, of course, threw a monkey wrench in that whole thing, which, I mean, Nintendo, I'm sure, gets a kick out of that one. But because people are so on edge right now, you see this update and they're like, oh, this could be it. You're going to see a lot of this. So this is a tweet that was going around yesterday, and I mean, it really, it 250,000 views on this thing, and it was just someone trolling about, hey, you can tune in for the successor of the Switch. And I saw that people are posting it, they're sharing it, they're screenshotting how it's funny. And it got to the point where they added a community note to it, just so everyone knows that it's an official announcement, because people kept sharing it online, which you are going to see more of that as we go along. Again, people are heavily anticipating an announcement at any time. And if you look back for the original Switch, Nintendo just showed up one night and was like, hey, tune in 11 hours and we're going to show you something with the successor. And it ended up being a fairly lengthy trailer showing off all kinds of features for what we know now as the Switch. Remember, they're driving to the basketball court. They're playing Mario Kart. They're at the airport. There's the Splatoon tournament. They're doing rooftop parties for Mario. So it's always possible Nintendo can show up at any moment, but a lot of people are calling for it right now. Like, hey, Nintendo, wake up. Well, they have Mario Party coming up soon, so they're a little busy right now, it feels like, right? They wouldn't just randomly announce that they're going to show off the next system with Mario Party coming up, and then they have a new Mario and Luigi coming. Maybe early 2025 they'll get this thing rolling, and then holiday 2025 if they feel like it. Next up, let's talk about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which I have been having a blast with, although it is something that is currently eating up a lot of my time. There's kind of an addictive nature to like the episodes right now that I'm going through, which I wrapped up all of Goku's and I'm going through Piccolo's now. It's just the split paths, the what if scenarios and stuff are really interesting because it basically plays like GeoCities fan fiction, and I'm completely here for some of the stuff that's happening in it. But it seems like everyone else is getting a kick out of this one too, because the sales are through the roof for this thing. We can see this posted up. This is over on Twitter X. This is from Morrow, who notes this, and you can look at the concurrent player counts for different games, which we'll check out here and there just to see how games are doing. In this case, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero topped 90,000 people in game. Here's the thing about this, okay? So you then compare it to things like Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Mortal Kombat, Brawlhalla, and so on. It's well above any of those by about 20,000 over Street Fighter 6. Guys, this is just the early access version of Sparking Zero. This is the more expensive one. Like, I think the cheapest one to get in right now was what, like $100 or something for the deluxe edition? Yes, you still get like the characters and season pass and stuff thrown in there, so you will have additional content down the road that you'll be given as part of this, but it's not a cheap buy-in. And it's at this point on Steam. That's not including the other platforms of PlayStation and Xbox. So yeah, it turns out Sparking Zero is wildly successful before it releases, which is what, in like 2 days or something. So I'm already playing it, already having a blast, and I do feel like this is a lot of, yeah, it's Dragon Ball, it's helping to sell it, sure, but I think there's also a bit of word of mouth online that's really propelling it, as I see online constantly people posting up memes and gameplay screenshots, all kinds of stuff, just people having fun. And that's kind of the idea, right? Is to have fun with a video game, and Dragon Ball playing into that with the community. It all adds up to be a massive success. So this is, it's something I do recommend checking out if you're a Dragon Ball fan. You probably already have it or are picking it up. If you're not, would I recommend getting this? I don't know. I feel like some of the what if stuff and like the cutscenes aren't always done the best, so it's not going to convey the story of Dragon Ball better than something like Dragon Ball Kakarot does as just a mainline playthrough to give you an idea of what happens. But it is a ton of fun to see all the randomness and wild things they come up with for veterans who just want to see different twists and weird stories thrown out there around characters they've known for a long time, since back to the Toonami days, I'm sure, for many of us. And in our last bit of news, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to sales success at launch, and that's for this Until Dawn remake, which I haven't really seen many people talk about this thing outside of apparently their performance issues and other problems just technically around it, and it doesn't seem like it was that compelling for people to go out and pick up, because we can see this posted up. This is over on True Trophies, and they say using a gameplay data sample from over 3.1 million active PSN accounts, courtesy of partnerships with Game Insights, we've been able to track the debut player count of every new PS5 and PS4 game released throughout the year. How does Until Dawn fare? Well, its debut is it's 28.6% smaller than Concord's. It also saw 98.5% fewer players than The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Now, they do know that the small pool of PS5 players could be down to the lack of marketing, and yeah, I really haven't seen much push for this at all, although it is a more expensive game tactically with that remake, and it is a hard sell. Like, the game exists now on the PlayStation 5 through PS4 backwards compatibility, and for many people out there, it looks good enough, and that's kind of it. It's like you still have the same kind of experience. I know they added a few things in terms of content for like the endings and stuff to the remake, but I just don't think many people are like, well, I need to go out and get Until Dawn right now, especially with everything else coming out around it. I mean, Silent Hill 2, I've been playing through that as well. It is awesome. So there's just a lot of really good stuff happening right now in terms of gaming, and there's a lot of places to spend your money that isn't necessarily Until Dawn remake, when Until Dawn on the PS4 is still very, very cheap physically most places, and you can just grab that for really at this point, what, 10 or 15 bucks, pop it in, and you're off and running. So unfortunately for Until Dawn remake, it just pretty much got ran over at launch. I still think there's going to be a sequel for this one because that's apparently what Firesprite is working on, but it doesn't seem like this is a great start, at least for Until Dawn making that return. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, which classic Halo game is your favorite? 34% say Halo 3, which, that's the right choice, I'd say. 25% say Halo 2, and so my thing is, I know whenever I ask this question, the two that come up is Halo 2 and Halo 3, every single time, by the majority of people. I know the original Halo has a lot of memories, but it's undeniable that Halo 2 was a step above the original Halo in terms of functionality, weapons, movement, visuals, pretty much everything. Halo 3 then went above that, even especially with a lot of the community that came together, and it was just a very special time with that release. And Halo 4 is at 3%, as it should be. So everything checks out to me with this chart here. I am curious about the future of Halo. I feel a bit more optimistic just based around some of the changes they've had, but I also felt optimistic, I'm sure as many other people did, when Halo Infinite was first announced, and, well, that didn't work out so well. So I'd say cautious optimism at this point, but they are certainly in earn it mode right now, as in they got to show us something. They have to come to market with a good product before we can start giving 343 now Halo Studios the benefit of the doubt. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Becco, says, I remember when the Switch was still new and we thought voice chat, a web browser, and themes would come soon. Oh, how wrong we were. Yes, as MVG would say, mistakes were made. I think back to videos that I had way back in the day, like, oh, well, I mean, look, it just says, like, black and white for themes. I'm sure they're going to add a bunch in here. It'll be a whole thing for them. And that was on, like, version 1 or 2 firmware or something, just when it first came out, and yeah, it never happened. And we were like, oh, well, maybe voice chat, right? And then they did the weird thing with the cell phone, and it just, they went in all different weird directions for it. So we'll think back on that when the new system comes out. We're presented with 2 themes and no voice chat, and just be like, well, once again, prove it mode for that one. They got to show us something before we just assume that it'll find its way in there. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card for you. Or maybe you wanted to spend about 2 hours or so with us as we waste time talking about video games and all kinds of other unrelated stuff on the Spawncast, I'll leave that right below. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.